The laughter started before the engine even turned on. It rolled across the dusty race track like a cruel wave, echoing from the bleachers where hundreds of spectators leaned forward to watch what they believed would be the day's biggest joke. A skinny girl in worn racing gloves stood beside a battered car that looked like it had survived 100 storms. The crowd whispered, pointed, and chuckled. Because the girl standing there wasn't a professional racer. She was the mechanic's daughter. And today, she had dared to enter the biggest race the town had ever seen. Before we begin this emotional journey, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy stories that inspire the heart. Your support helps these stories reach more people. The small town of Redridge had always loved racing. Every summer, the dusty track just outside town became the center of attention as powerful engines roared and wealthy racers arrived with shiny cars and professional crews. People traveled from neighboring towns just to watch the spectacle. But that year, something unexpected appeared on the registration list. A name no one recognized. Lena Carter. People quickly realized who she was. The mechanic's daughter. Lena had grown up in a tiny garage on the edge of town. Her father, Tom Carter, was the kind of mechanic who could listen to an engine for 5 seconds and tell you exactly what was wrong with it. But talent didn't always mean money. The garage barely made enough to survive. Still, Lena spent her childhood surrounded by tools, grease, and the comforting sound of engines being rebuilt. While other kids played video games or rode bikes, Lena watched her father work. She learned how engines breathed, how gears talked to each other, how a small adjustment could change everything. By the time she was 15, she could rebuild a transmission faster than most trained mechanics. But people in Redridge didn't see that. They only saw a poor girl in a greasy garage. And girls, according to most people in town, didn't belong behind the wheel of race cars. The idea of Lena entering the annual Redridge Grand Circuit sounded ridiculous to them. The race was known for attracting serious competitors. Professional drivers with sponsors, trailers, and polished machines worth more than Lena's entire house. And then there was Lena's car. A faded blue vehicle that looked like it had been pulled from a junkyard. People didn't know that beneath the worn paint was something entirely different. Something built with years of quiet determination. Something built with love. 3 years earlier, Lena had found the abandoned car behind the garage. It was rusted, missing parts, and barely recognizable. Most people would have scrapped it. But Lena saw possibility. Every night after helping her father close the garage, she worked on it. Slowly. Patiently. She studied racing engines online. She saved money from small jobs. She reused parts others threw away. Her father sometimes stayed late just to watch her work, his eyes filled with pride. He never once told her she couldn't do it. Instead, he handed her tools. But not everyone believed in her. The moment Lena rolled the car toward the track that morning, whispers began spreading through the crowd. Some people laughed openly. Others shook their heads. One man in the stands said loudly that the race organizers must have lost their minds letting a mechanic's kid join the competition. Another joked that the race might need a tow truck ready for lap 1. Even some of the racers smirked when they saw her. Their vehicles gleamed under the sunlight, sleek machines with roaring horsepower and professional teams. Next to them, Lena's car looked small and humble. But Lena didn't look at them. She looked at the track. The dusty oval stretched wide and long, the kind of track where power alone didn't guarantee victory. It demanded precision, patience, and a deep understanding of how a car moved under pressure. Things Lena understood better than anyone realized. Her father stood quietly near the pit wall, arms crossed. His face carried a calm expression, but inside he was holding his breath. Not because he doubted his daughter, but because he knew how cruel crowds could be. The race announcer's voice boomed across the track as engines began warming up. Spectators leaned forward. The drivers climbed into their cars. Lena slipped into the driver's seat and closed the door. Inside the car, everything felt quiet. The outside noise faded into the background. Her hands rested gently on the steering wheel she had installed herself. Every bolt in this car had passed through her fingers. Every adjustment had been carefully tested. She knew this machine the way musicians know their instruments. Outside, the crowd still laughed. Until the moment Lena turned the key. The engine roared to life. Not loudly. But perfectly. The sound cut through the air like a sharp blade. Smooth, controlled, powerful in a way that made experienced mechanics in the crowd suddenly look up. That didn't sound like a junkyard car. That sounded like precision. The racers glanced sideways. A few eyebrows lifted. The race marshal stepped forward with the starting flag. 10 cars lined up across the starting line. The engines growled impatiently. Dust swirled across the track. And Lena sat quietly among them, her eyes steady. The flag dropped. The race exploded into motion. Powerful cars surged forward with thunderous force, tires spinning as they fought for position. Within seconds, Lena fell behind. The crowd laughed again. Exactly what they expected. But Lena didn't panic. She let the other drivers burn their power early. She studied the way they took the corners. She listened to the engine beneath her feet. Lap after lap passed. One racer pushed too hard into a corner and skidded wide, losing speed. Lena slipped past him. Another driver overheated his tires after aggressive turns. Lena glided around him with quiet control. The laughter in the stands slowly faded. Something strange was happening. The mechanic's daughter wasn't crashing. She wasn't quitting. She was climbing. Halfway through the race, Lena had reached 5th place. The crowd leaned forward. Now the whispers sounded different. People began realizing the girl they had mocked wasn't just driving. She was calculating. Every turn she took was smoother than the racers ahead of her. Her car hugged the track like it belonged there. Meanwhile, the expensive machines began showing signs of strain. Engines pushed too hard. Drivers making desperate moves. But Lena stayed patient. Her father watched from the pit, heart pounding. He knew the moment she had been waiting for was coming. 3 laps remained. And suddenly Lena accelerated. The engine she had carefully tuned responded instantly. Her car surged forward with surprising speed. 4th place. Then 3rd. Gasps spread through the crowd. Now the 2 leading racers glanced nervously in their mirrors. Behind them, the blue car was closing fast. The announcer's voice cracked with excitement as the unexpected drama unfolded. On the final lap, Lena entered the sharpest corner of the track. The leader slowed slightly to maintain control. But Lena knew that corner better than anyone. She had practiced it hundreds of times in the empty evenings when no one was watching. Her car slid into the turn with perfect balance. For a brief moment, the entire crowd held its breath. Then Lena emerged. Ahead. The mechanic's daughter had taken the lead. The final stretch was silent. Hundreds of spectators stood frozen. The girl they laughed at was now racing toward victory. Her engine roared across the finish line first. For a moment, the entire track fell completely quiet. No laughter. No whispers. Only stunned silence. Then the crowd erupted. Not with mockery, but with thunderous applause. People stood, clapping, cheering, shouting her name. The racers who once smirked now removed their helmets in respect. Lena climbed out of the car, her hands still shaking slightly. Across the track, her father stood with tears in his eyes. The girl everyone underestimated had just proven something powerful. Talent doesn't need wealth. Dreams don't need permission. And sometimes the quietest engines carry the strongest roar. Before we finish this story, if Lena's journey touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And here's a special request for you. Comment below with the word believe if you think people should never be judged by where they come from. Because sometimes the greatest victories come from the people the world laughs at first. That day in Redridge, people didn't just witness a race. They witnessed the moment a mechanic's daughter rewrote the story everyone had written for her. And long after the engines went silent, one thing remained clear in every heart watching. Never underestimate the power of someone who has spent their whole life proving they belong.